welcome back to Domain's Land. I hope you're having an amazing day. So you're either a seasoned DJI owner or perhaps you've just made your most recent purchase with DJI. Either way, welcome to the DJI family. In today's video, I'm going to talk about 5 ways that you can get more cinematic footage out of any DJI product. I don't care if you've got a Phantom 3 or the newest Mavic 3 Cine, or even going back to the Pocket 1. These tips and tricks can be applied to any DJI product and will give you footage that looks like this. So that little video, which I mean isn't my best work by any means, but I think looks pretty darn good, was shot on 2 different DJI products. The first one being the Mini 3 Pro, and the second being the Osmo Pocket 2. So this video will be divided into 2 parts, the first being the shooting settings.
The numbers all go to 11.
Alright, so let's get into our little bag of mystery and chaos here, and let's get into 2 accessories that you need both for the DJI Mini 3 Pro as well as the Pocket 2. Starting off with the Pocket 2, let's get into a set of variable ND filters that you should totally pick up for your device. These ones by Polar Pro range from ND4 to ND16, and they ran me right around $40 used on Kijiji because they were actually designed for the Pocket 1, and that's something worth noting is that a lot of Pocket 1 accessories are usable on the Pocket 2, but make sure you check it and test it before you buy it. Now moving on to the Mini 3 Pro, let's get into a variable ND that I recently picked up for it. It ranges from ND2 up to ND5, which isn't too bad. The 1 to 5 range isn't bad. It would be nice if it went a little bit higher, but just remember that once you take off, you cannot adjust it. It is set.
All right, so let's get into the Pocket 2. And as you can see, I've already got my ND8 actually mounted on the camera. Very easy to put on. It's just magnetically loaded. We won't go into that today, but let's get this turned on. Here we go. So you want to make sure first that you are in Pro mode. So let's put this into Pro. All right, so now we're in Pro mode. So as you guys can see, I've already set it to manual exposure. It's set to auto white balance. I typically find that the Pocket 2 has very good automatic white balance.
I keep my autofocus always set in continuous, so that way then it's as accurate as possible. Now that we've got those settings dialed in, we need to check our frame rate. We will be shooting today in 4K 24, which is what most people consider to be that cinematic motion blur that they love. TV and media would be 4K 30, and in Europe sometimes they actually lean closer to 4K 25. The shutter speed should double the frame rate, so 1/50 is as close as we can get, and as for the ISO, we will keep that as low as we can at ISO 100 because with these cameras they have a very small sensor, so the lower the number the better. And then for gimbal modes, there are 3. There are follow, tilt lock, and FPV. We will keep that in follow for the best results. Now moving on to the Mini 3 Pro, the first thing we want to do is make sure that your variable ND is set as close as it can. Make sure that the shadows aren't too lost, but the highlights aren't blown out as well.
So now that we're in our video settings, we can check everything out there. So MAV is fine, especially if you're using Mac. Stick with the MAV file type. Between normal and D-Cinelike, we're going to use D-Cinelike so we get that 10-bit raw video. And there's a lot of debate between H.264 and H.265 for encoding. I stick with H.264. Now going over to the Pro section, we'll be able to see the frame rate and all the other manual controls.
All right, so we're at 4K 24, so we're going to want to get that shutter down to 1/50. Let's click on that aperture logo and let's start dragging the shutter. You can see I'm raising it here. Now we need to lower it. Let's get that down to 1/50, 80, 50. Here we go. But as you can see, it is still too blown out. So what we're going to want to do now is adjust that variable ND. Of course, you need to be very, very careful when you're doing this on your Mini 3 Pro, especially when it's already turned on. But if you do it delicately, like I am here, you won't run into any issues. I recommend putting your one finger just underneath the gimbal to support it and then adjusting it gently. Now we've set it to 5, so we should be good to go. As you can see, now we are a little bit underexposed. I mean, of course, it would be good to lower the shutter probably a little bit more or adjust the variable ND again, but this is much better than having it as blown out as it was before. But once you're in the air, that aperture cannot be adjusted. So if you find yourself in a situation where everything's overexposed or underexposed, put it into auto and let the drone take over. Better that you get the shot than not.
Drop the bass. It's a double rainbow. All right, so we have made it back to the casa. We've got all the footage here. We've got lots of great clips from the Pocket as well as the Mini 3 Pro. So yeah, we'll get these into a project and we'll have a look at a couple different clips from the drone as well as from the Pocket, so we can see what color grading this can look like. Keep in mind, I am not a professional colorist, and this is just my advice. This is my simple workflow. I'm still learning, but if it can help you, that's great. So yeah, our project's just going to be regular 422. You can do uncompressed 10-bit RAW. I mean, if you're really wanting to do that with the Mini 3 Pro, you might get a little better of a result, but I haven't really seen that, and it just eats up my computer hard drive. So here we go. So we've got our timeline here. Let's just take over a couple clips. So we'll take a couple over. Let's go for media share. Here we go. All right, we'll go over to the Pocket first. We'll pull one clip for sure. So we'll get one Pocket clip from today that I shot, and then we'll get a couple from the hockey game, because why not? That's fun. And then we'll get a couple drone clips, and we'll get one of this building. So we'll just do 4 clips for today. First thing you want to do is select all your clips. That will allow you to make some quick changes to all of them in one go. So here we go. We got our custom LUT button. That's going to be the first thing we do. I know you're thinking LUTs don't work. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I find, especially on people, they don't usually work too good, but that's okay. So let's have a look at our first clip here. So as you guys can see, it's pretty blown out. It's pretty neutral in color. So the LUT that I like to use, and I'll put in the link in the description, it's not an affiliate link, I don't get paid for this, is the GC Titan Cine-like D to Rec 709 LUT. This is what it looks like after. So as you guys can see, it definitely improves the overall vibe of the clip. I'm honestly not going to color that anymore. I think that looks pretty good. So now we're on to a hockey clip. So now, and I turned on D-Cinelike. So now we can put that on, and there we go. That looks much better. And so as you can see, we used a little bit of the zoom there. We're still getting a bit of a flicker. So that tells me that I actually didn't shoot this in manual, and this was actually shot in auto. But it still looks pretty good. The clip's not bad. Let's roll the actual rendered clip now. So yeah, you guys can see, not bad at all. But now let's have a look at a drone clip. Keep in mind that this was shot in auto, but in D-Cinelike. So this is a 10-bit raw clip. Again, we talked about it while I was shooting. Once you're up in the air, you can't change anything. So let's throw that LUT on. Wow, that looks so much better. That's really clean. The footage is a little shaky, but that's operator error, not the drone. And let's have a look at this one. Start throwing the Nikon LUT. Oh my god, that is way too colorful. Way too colorful. Let's just put it back to the, yeah, that's a nice starting point. Let's say I did want to color this a little bit more. Let's say I wanted to play with the shadows. Usually what I do first is I start with the exposure and then I just lower it just a bit. That gives me just a little bit more wiggle room. So I'd play with the mids, maybe bring the highlights down just a little, and we would end with something that looks something like this. Very clean clip. Let's just throw one more from the Pocket in just for parody. Here we go. Let's get this clip here. We'll throw a LUT on it. There we go. Actually, I like that. I think that's a very clean looking clip. All the shots from the drone and the day of shooting that I did today with the Pocket 2 were in 4K 24 frames. The ones at the game might have been closer to 4K 60. I can't quite remember. I just thought it'd be fun just to try throwing something on from auto, but you guys can definitely see the limitations that you face when you shoot in auto, especially in a situation where the lighting's constantly changing. You'll get that flicker. Anyways, let's roll the outro. Whew.
If you use some of these different things I've outlined in today's video, you can get more out of your video in post. Now, there are some limitations. With the Mini 3 Pro, if you shoot in 4K 60, you don't get that HQ high quality video footage. If you shoot in 60 frames on the Pocket 2, you don't have the option for D-Cinelike. These are all things to keep in mind. And I shoot in that 4K 60 normal color profile on my Pocket 2 all the time, and it looks great. But just for today, I really wanted to focus on D-Cinelike. But keep in mind, when you are color grading that 8-bit D-Cinelike footage from the Pocket 2, it is 8-bit, not 10-bit, unlike the Mini 3 Pro, which when you put into D-Cinelike, automatically jumps over to 10-bit. Anyways, let's leave this one here. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and remember to take beautiful photos every single day. Don't do it for the views, do it for yourself. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Boom!